Good afternoon. Happy almost whatever holiday it is you might be getting ready to celebrate in the next few days. Gabe DeArmond, Sean Williams, with the finish line in sight, man. We're almost there. Not quite, but we're getting there. This is the Tuesday Tiger Recruiting Show. Early signing period starts tomorrow. We are going to talk a little bit of Mizzou recruiting, get you up to date on everything that is going to happen in the next 24 hours or so. And who knows, things that might happen before that and after that. So we will talk about it all, invite you all to put your questions and comments in the comment queue, and we will get to them. Sean, is there anything that you have to say before I tell our fine viewers about James Carlton?
Nothing I have to say.
Okay.
I'm speechless right now.
Sean has nothing to say. This should be an excellent show. I am barely awake. We don't know what's happening. But the guy that does know what's happening is James Carlton. Hey, we're supposed to get snow in the next 36 hours in the state of Missouri, and that means everybody instantly forgets how to drive. Everything is going to go to hell in the next 48 hours. So you need to, before the next time your car leaves your garage, hopefully you have a garage, get in touch with James Carlton at carltoninsurance.net or over the phone at 314-961-4800. Get in touch with them before his staff gets a quick little break for Christmas, and ask them about insurance and see if they can save you money. There's a pretty good chance they can, but even if they can't, James just wants to talk to you a little about Mizzou sports, give you a quote, see what he can do. If you tell him you heard about it here on Power Mizzou and on our YouTube channel, he is going to donate $20 on your behalf to Mizzou's NIL Collective, and that it will quickly start working on the class of 2024. Sean, before we get going, we have breaking news from Britt Treese. BS, it is not going to snow. So we're good. No snow in the state of Missouri per Britt. So we're good.
I think that's wishful thinking, but I mean,
yeah.
Hey, he's probably about as accurate as most meteorologists out there anyway. So
right. It could always, our goal on this signing day show is to be more accurate than the weather guy. It could always be worse. Right. Earlier this week, I saw a tweet from up where 40 minutes from where we used to live in South Dakota, they got nearly 5 feet of snow. There was a guy standing in it up to his neck. So,
nice.
Yeah, it could be a whole lot worse. But signing day tomorrow, as of now, I think the list is at 18 plus Theo Weiss would be 19. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. The most recent additions. Let's start with Brandon Salas. I've seen him. He visited Missouri a couple times. He is a large human being, and like not really built like an offensive lineman. Like there's not a lot of fat. He's just a really big kid. I would imagine they're going to want to pack 30 or 40 pounds on him and line him up at tackle.
Yeah, I think that's the perceived way to go there. And he's kind of a cool story. He's just been playing football for 3 years. The first season he played, he said, because he played basketball before that, he said the first season he played football, he's like, the coaches just said, hey, play nose guard, just take up a lot of space on defense. So it didn't really require, like a whole lot of technique or anything like that. And then he transferred over to offensive line, and he's really excelled at that position. And yeah, I asked him, I said, what does Missouri kind of like you at? I mean, they like you at tackle. He's like, I'll probably start at tackle, but he's like, I'm really honestly cool with playing any position along the offensive line. So he's pretty open-minded. But yeah, you got to think 6'7" frame, 275 pounds. You're going to add some weight, and you're going to hope he becomes a really good tackle.
Yeah, so. You don't see many 6'7" kids lining up on the interior.
Right.
The other one, and this is, I mean, you talk about just starting to play football.
Yep.
Like literally, Jordan Harris started playing football in July. His first football practice was in August, the day before his high school team's first game. He told me, yeah, coach taught me the plays, and I just went out there. I was kind of nervous, but like 4 months later, he's choosing between 2 SEC programs, man, and he chose Missouri. Like, that's the kind of thing you're like, hey, I hope this works out, because it's a very cool story.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another guy that's big, 6'7", 230 pounds, and played basketball like Solis, before he was a basketball player, and picked up an offer from who was it, Oral Roberts, I think, in basketball. So I mean, he's super athletic already. So yeah, I mean, you're 6'7", 230 pounds. You can play. Your highlights are really good at tight end. You can play defensive end. You're really athletic. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens with him. I mean, guys like that, when you got that size and athleticism, college coaches tend to find you, despite the lack of career highlights in high school. But it just took 1 year to kind of figure that out. But to kind of show his athleticism and size and what he's able to do on film, it definitely intrigued a lot of teams. And he chose between Missouri and Vanderbilt. He had I think he had some other G5 offers too out there. So I mean, he had a good not bad for playing football for 1 year.
Yeah, he's played 7 games. I think he had 5 catches, had 3 sacks defensively. And Tom, I'm going to do you the service of not attempting to pronounce your last name because I would mess it up. But Tom W. asks, defensive lineman or tight end? I mean, I don't know. I don't think he knows. I don't think the coaches know.
Yeah, because
given this roster, I would go defensive end, but I don't know.
Yeah, because his recruiting process. I mean, he got the offer back in October. When I talked to him then, he was talking to Eric Link, and he was talking about tight end. And now, fast forward to now, and he's had an in-home visit with Al Davis, and we're talking defensive line. So, I don't know. I guess it's going to be kind of one of those things where I guess he shows up, and when they start practice, it'll be like, okay, we'll try him here one day. Maybe we'll try him a defensive end one day. We'll try him at tight end the next, and we'll kind of see where it goes, I guess.
Or it could be as simple as, hey, where do you want to start?
Yeah.
And they'll start him there and see how it goes. It could also depend a little bit on what the roster looks like. I mean, tight end was not very good this year, but they've got Brett Norfleet coming in. Max Weisner was a true freshman this year. So if they feel good about those kids right now at defensive end, I mean, it's very thin. Now they've got 3 high school guys signed that we expect already, or 2 high school guys that are going to be defensive ends. And then, they could pick up another one here in the transfer portal pretty soon. We'll touch on that in a minute. But it'll probably have a lot to do with what they view the roster as coming up. And it'd be nice to have the option and be able to put a kid either place. But I mentioned the defensive end. So transfer activity has been maybe a little lighter than I expected, but I think there are some reasons for that. First of all, I think there's been some activity that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Second, I've heard a lot of schools, like, kids are waiting on grades, and academics is holding some of this up. Some schools are starting to run out of official visits. Like, I just think there's a lot of reasons that maybe this first week and a half hasn't been quite as wild as we expected.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors there. And you mentioned, official visits. You probably got to be a little bit selective on who you bring in terms of the transfer portal, and got to make sure it's a guy you really want. It's a guy that's really interested in you. So, Missouri's struck out with Avery Helm recently, but I think they're in a good spot with Austin Firestone, who was in this past weekend.
Yeah, so, he visited over the weekend, tweeted that out. What's today? Tuesday, tweeted that out on Monday evening.
Right.
Kid he's from Florida. He went to Northwestern, appeared in 3 games, had a sack, but didn't play much as a true freshman up at Northwestern. But another big kid, I think, like 6'5", 6'6", 260. Mm-hmm. I think he's listed at. He was a defensive tackle recruit out of high school in our database, but Sean has disappeared on us. Hopefully he will come back, and I will pop him up if he does. There he is. Sean, you just went dark on us for a minute, but we appreciate you coming back. I cannot hear you for what that's worth. Sean, we'll take Sean off the screen.
I'm back.
Okay. Sean is back, and everything is good. We're going in and out here. Look, guys, it's been a week, and it's Tuesday.
Gotta call, man. Gotta call and had to.
Anyway, yeah. So Firestone said he stopped by Florida State, stopped by Auburn, stopped by Tennessee, but the only official visit to Missouri, and told you he's thinking he's going to make a decision pretty soon. That indicates to me Missouri's probably in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I'd say considering, in the article I wrote on him, he's got family connections there. Peoples coached his dad, in junior college. So there's a family connection there. And then, obviously, Peoples had an in-home visit with him last week that prompted him to come in for the official this past weekend. So, he said he really liked what he saw, loves Peoples, loves Blake Baker's defensive scheme and how they kind of utilize their defensive ends and edge rushers. So sounds pretty promising. Yeah, like I said, those other visits, he mentioned were unofficials, and they were, he kind of said they were kind of like one-day trips. He just stopped by, talked to the coaches real quick, do a little quick tour. I think after that Missouri official, obviously he lives in Florida, so I think on his way back home he did visit Florida State. I think that was like maybe Sunday night or something like that, or Sunday evening. So he did swing by and hit up Florida State. But I think it sounds pretty promising for Missouri at the moment.
And if you're into this kind of thing, his mom followed the Power Mizzou account on Twitter. So, that's, I don't know if that's meaningful or not. But hey, real quick, before we move on from Firestone, you said, he said he really likes how Blake Baker uses his defensive ends. How many ways are there to use a defensive end in a scheme? Go get the guy with the ball.
Go get the guy with the ball, I guess. I mean, I guess it just depends, Drop back in the coverage.
I'm honestly curious. Like, I don't really. Yeah, I mean, these guys, you may zone blitz and drop back every now and then, but there's not many defensive ends that are dropping back in coverage more than 2 or 3 times a game.
There's not, but I mean, hey, he liked it. I mean, he didn't go into specifics, and I didn't really ask. So
I always like looking at like the PFF stuff, and it's like, Isaiah McGuire, 37 snaps, 36 pass rushes. I mean, that's generally what you do on passing downs. On running downs, you go find the running back with the ball.
For what it's worth, he did mention that he was impressed with Isaiah McGuire's development while he's at Missouri, and that he will probably be a high draft pick. So that's kind of intriguing as well.
There you go. So, look, to be honest, guys, news on that could happen anytime. I mean, he said he thinks he's going to do something soon. Sometimes we don't know if soon means today or in 5 days, but soon.
Exact words were maybe deciding after the high school signing period, but you never know how that goes. So
right. Sometimes that changes. I do want to acknowledge AU Stock thanking us for waking up from our naps, and I want to be clear that I have not taken a nap today. I'm not promising that I'm not going to at some point. But I'm going to take a long nap on like Friday. That sounds good. No, I'm not. I'm busy all day Friday. Saturday, I'm going to take a nap.
There you go.
Yeah.
I've not taken a nap either, but it maybe looks like it, but I haven't. So.
Yeah. We did have a question from Bradley St. James. Now, he did not set the show record because he did not submit this question at 6:30 in the morning, but he did submit a question a few minutes before the show started. Do you think Missouri's waiting until after the bowl games to see what transfers hit the market? I think that's maybe part of it. Yeah, I mean, there are going to be, I talked to Drinkwitz on Sunday and said, do you expect this to get, is this crazier than you expected? And he said, I think it's going to get a little bit more so after bowl games. Some kids are going to go in. So I think there's something to, I think they can be a little bit selective right now, I think is part of it. But again, I think transfers don't tend to like share every moment of their lives on social media. I would not be at all surprised if there are some other transfers who have visited that we just don't know about yet.
Yeah, I agree. I think we kind of mentioned maybe keeping a possible quarterback addition under wraps, but I mean, I really think there's a lot of that goes on everywhere because these transfers are different. They're not in high school anymore, and they just want to kind of get the process over with. So they don't want to broadcast it anywhere. They don't want to do interviews. They don't want to talk to nobody. They just want to focus on where their next destination is going to be. Whether that
we've actually had pretty good luck, though. We know 3 have visited, and 2 of them have talked to us. So that's a pretty good hit rate, man.
That is a pretty good hit rate. I was, I got Austin Firestone got back to me really quick, and luckily enough, I had his number in my phone because I talked to him when he was a high school prospect. Because I think he took a visit to Vanderbilt, I believe. So, he got back to me right away. So he's a good kid too, man. It's a good interview. So.
Then John Morgan from Pittsburgh, I talked to him on, I think it was Friday night. He visited Thursday and Friday in Columbia, and he said he's not deciding until after the national title game's over. So think he's probably going to take some more visits. But Sean, correct me. I think so we're in a dead period now. Visits can't happen again till, I want to say, for transfers, like the weekend of January 8th, maybe they can start visiting again. Does that sound right?
I think so. It's somewhere around there. I don't know the exact dates, but that sounds about right. But and it's kind of, if you're still a mid-year guy, you can still take those visits, because I've, like just between Missouri and other sites, I've kind of talked to some kids, and they're planning to be mid-year guys, but they might extend it out and take another visit in January and still be able to enroll at that school at that time. So yeah, they can, even if they're mid-year guys, they can still extend it out and take another visit in January whenever they're allowed to, and then kind of make their decision there. So
right, and most schools, like the enroll date is probably like late January.
Right.
And look, here's what I've learned in the SEC: you enroll whenever, like. Whatever, man. Marcus Clark commits in September. Cool. Just come on up. We'll figure out the classes later. Just come on up. You're on the football team. Go practice today.
Yep. Exactly.
So, in the words of Cardale Jones, they ain't here to play school. I do want to invite you guys again. Questions, comments, throw them in there. We're working through them as we go. Kyle wants to know if there's any chance with Jair Hill tomorrow. I mean, in short, very unlikely. It was Purdue, Illinois, Missouri, Kentucky, and somebody else on his list of 5. I don't think he's going to any of those places. I think he put out a fake top 5 and he's going to Michigan. And I'm not even joking.
I think it'll be the first, either one of the first 2 you mentioned, Purdue or Illinois.
Purdue or Illinois, you think he'll end up there?
I think he's pretty tight with Ryan Walters, and Ryan Walters is at Purdue now.
Oh, right. I forgot that. That'd be a big hit for Ryan Walters. And in Illinois, recruited him pretty hard, and he's an Illinois kid. I'm not saying anything bad about the kid, but the way the recruitment's gone, it would not surprise me at all if he goes somewhere that was not on his graphic.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Jair Hill, another DB. You got C.J. Johnson that's kind of out there, and that's a guy that we're kind of waiting to see, what he does, because he was on an official visit this past weekend, and he's deciding between Auburn, UTSA, and Missouri. All those 3 schools he has taken visits to recently. So Gerard did a good job of catching up with him and getting quotes. So,
and initially had said probably wasn't going to sign early, but then when Gerard talked to him, said may sign early now.
Well, look, with the transfer portal, kids,
you better
high school kids that say, yeah, I think I'm going to wait till February and see what other schools get in there. Their plans change pretty quickly when the portal is open, and you got to make a decision and claim that spot whenever you can. So it sounds like that's probably going to happen with him.
Speaking of UTSA, did you see their head coach, Jeff Traylor, tweet this morning? He tweets out and tags the NCAA. Hey, how do I officially report all these Power 5 schools that are tampering with my players?
I love it, man. I mean, UTSA.
I do too.
That's a great program. He's done a really good job there, and they've been like the top Conference USA program the last 3 or 4 years. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's probably pissed that people are, Power 5 schools are trying to poach his kids. So.
Right, and I know some Missouri fans are frustrated with, like, Mekhi Wingo goes to LSU. They think we think Tom Lovett, Georgia, Alabama, something like that. They're upset that they seem to be like a farm team for these blue bloods. Well, think about it, UTSA. That's literally a farm team for 5 complete conferences. I mean, that's rough, man. I get the frustration from Jeff Traylor, and the only answer is, I don't know, Jeff. You better go tamper with the FBS kids, because literally everybody's
yeah. I mean, there's got to be some rich people in San Antonio to keep those guys around, so.
Yeah. Jared tossing us a little donation. We certainly appreciate that. Sean will use that on to fill a Christmas stocking. No Devin Leary, Sam Hartman NIL fund. Heard the staff will be in the same place as him this weekend. Let's tamper. So this is actually a good example of what I'm talking about. Like, Sean, we've seen rumors for 3 weeks that Sam Hartman's playing somewhere in the SEC next year. He's playing a bowl game for Wake Forest. He's not in the portal. And the only thing you see is, hey, is Sam Hartman going to go to the draft, or is it Florida, or is it Auburn? I mean, it's not Missouri from what I don't see any indication of that. Although, hey, if you're Eli Drinkwitz, maybe after the game, you just go shake his hand and go, hey, Sam, here's my number. If you want to give me a call.
I mean, it also depends on what might pop up in this hotel room this weekend too. You know.
There are many directions that can go, and I don't think we need to talk about any of them.
I meant like a briefcase of cash, not like
Right.
strippers or anything
Okay.
like that.
Okay. Good deal. Yeah. Hey, we ain't covering Louisville here. This ain't Rick Pitino, man. So no Devin Leary. I haven't seen. Is it official? He's transferring to Kentucky, or is that kind of people are saying, hey, it's expected?
I think that was officially announced. I believe today, not by him, but I think by like On3 or something like that. So
okay, so that's interesting because he visited Kentucky and then he visited Auburn. So he's going to end up at Kentucky. Grayson McCall was supposed to visit Auburn, but then didn't visit Auburn. So you wonder if maybe that's back on now, after bowl games and stuff there. Sam Hartman, again, there's been talk that if Florida's the school I've most seen mentioned, but I've seen Florida now mentioned a little bit with McCall too. So there's a lot of teams looking for quarterbacks. And I know Missouri fans don't believe this, but there's a lot of teams that actually need quarterbacks more than Missouri does.
That's very true. Florida being one of those, actually.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you watched any of their bowl game, but
say what you say about Anthony Richardson. I mean, the dude, he is athletic, but maybe not the best thrower in the world.
But hey, if you watch the bowl game, he was clearly the best quarterback on their team.
True.
Or at least the one that most was interested in playing a football game, because nobody on Florida's roster seemed particularly interested in that.
They were scared of the Beavs.
Yeah, no doubt. PlayStation action. What's the future for Hopper? Where will Dominic end up, and will Mizzou hire an OC? So Tyron Hopper is one of the guys we're going to have to watch. I've heard both ways. I don't know. We'll get some clarity after the bowl game. Sean, are you surprised Dominic Lovett hasn't ended up anywhere? I mean, he took a visit to Athens last week.
I mean, I guess he's like weighing all of his options. I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, I'm kind of surprised he just hasn't went ahead and popped to Georgia. I mean, that's a good opportunity right there to kind of, big stage and show off your skills. So, but
yeah, I mean, I've heard Texas, I've heard Alabama. I don't know. I'm a little surprised it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah,
because generally when kids like that hit the portal, your instinct is, hey, they may not know where they're going, but they have a pretty short list.
Right. Exactly.
So, G Philly says he's going to Georgia and Hopper's going to the NFL. So we'll see. We don't know that yet, but hey, you may very well be right.
We do know Dom Lovick isn't going to UTSA.
Right. He doesn't want to be a meat. Ron Davis wants to know if we anticipate Mizzou adding more high school defensive linemen. I think that's a possibility. I thought a couple weeks ago maybe they were done with high school players, but they just added 2 this week. I think they're just going to take as many dudes as they can take, and they'll figure it all out later.
Yeah, I think like Drinkwitz said in that press conference earlier, not too long ago, it was like 16 or something like that. They're planning on taking 16 high school kids, and now here we are. We're like at 18, which one of those is a
18
JUCO
and counting.
Kid.
Right.
One of those is a JUCO kid with Newsom, but still, it seems like there's possibility to add more. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about CJ Johnson. We're waiting for his decision, so that's another one. So I would expect them to add some more if they can.
So this class will be close to 20, maybe over 20 high school kids and JUCO kids by the time it's all done. So the idea that the ranking is going to be impacted by not signing enough kids is out the window. I saw Harris got a 5.7 3-star ranking. So Missouri's class is up to 32, which is if you add a couple more guys and you can get into the low 20s, like, hey, that's solid. I mean, it's not quite what the last couple of years were, but if you can consistently be in the top 30, you're giving yourself a chance.
Yeah, then you got CJ Johnson, who I believe is a 5.7 3-star. Okay. So, I mean, that would help out with the rankings as well if he committed to Missouri. Yeah. So,
for sure. Let's see. Man at Arms Slap says, not Mizzou related, but what's the deal with all of the Bama wide receivers leaving? And would that be a place Lovett would want to go considering the circumstances? I mean, I don't know what the circumstances are. The circumstances are it's Alabama. That's always a place kids want to go. But I'll be honest, man, if it's not about Missouri, I haven't really been paying much attention, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
Sean, I don't know about you. You pay a little more attention to the portal stuff.
I don't directly cover the SEC for the portal for Rivals, but I mean, look, it's Alabama. I mean, I know, they're stacked, right? So,
Right.
all the receivers that are probably entering the portal are probably ranked 4 stars at least, right? So they
Right.
just
And weren't playing.
probably
Yeah.
probably haven't got an opportunity to play, and they want an opportunity to play somewhere else. So, I think that's just probably what it is for Alabama, but I don't know that specifically. I haven't really paid too much attention to them. So
Yeah. Magic Man wants to know what happened to the 6'6" wide receiver transfer that visited Mizzou. He did not visit Mizzou. He committed after visiting Arkansas last week. Andrew Armstrong, I think was his name.
Yeah, the Texas A&M Commerce kid.
Yeah.
So he committed to Arkansas, so he never showed up.
Yeah. B. Drizzy wants to know about Tadarius Collins. Nick Harris wrote an article last night that said it was like Missouri, Auburn, and maybe Mississippi State. My information is it's in Missouri at this point in time.
Yeah, I think
and I didn't really know in the information I got. I couldn't tell if it was Missouri isn't going to take him right now, or they just don't think he's coming here.
I don't know if he's even visited. I know, like he's one of those that doesn't talk, but I did whenever he released like this.
I mean, I assume he talks.
Well, I mean, not to me.
Maybe not to us. Yeah, he probably talks, right?
Maybe if I was better looking and female, he probably would talk to me. But that's another story. But he did, like, whenever he released his top schools in Missouri, was in it, like, that was back in November, I believe, beginning of November. I asked him if he was going to visit, and he said, yeah, he was planning on it. But that's about all I got out of him, and I don't think he ever visited. And I think it seems like it's going to be Auburn, because I know Nick Harris said in that article that Mississippi State's kind of tied up at defensive line right now. I don't know if they're going to take any more commitments. So might be an Auburn thing for him. So
yeah, and it might be hey, he doesn't sign until February thing, because that is, like, we kind of forget that's an option. Although, like you said, if I'm advising a high school kid, I'm going, hey man, if you've got an offer, jump on that offer now.
Yeah, I think that applies for most prospects, and some of them they can get away with it. I mean, a guy like Collins probably could get away with that and waiting. So
yeah. So yeah, I think we've hit on everybody that's possible. Like, I don't say possible because, hey, we could always wake up tomorrow and go, hey, I don't know who this kid is, but he just committed to Missouri, right? I mean, we don't. Somebody had asked earlier, and I think I forgot to put it on the screen, but somebody said, are there going to be any surprises? I mean, like I always say, if we knew about it, it wouldn't be a surprise, right?
Yeah, Scooby-Doo really didn't do us any good, like this past weekend when we hired him. So we're not going to pay him the Power Mizzou funds. But yeah, I mean, there's always a surprise. Like I said, we mentioned it earlier. You never know if these transfers are on campus or not. They don't talk. They probably want to be kept quiet. And you just never know what's going to happen.
And I mean, we're pretty confident. Like Eli Drinkwitz said at his press conference on Sunday, hey, we just had 12 official visitors in town this weekend. We don't know who all 12 are at this point. Like, there's a couple kids who very well were in town last week that we don't know. So yeah, I mean, something could happen tomorrow that comes as a surprise to you guys, and we'll obviously do our best to cover that if it does happen. That's why we're here. But for the most part, I mean, I wouldn't expect more than one or two of those things max. Usually maybe one or two good surprises every now and then, maybe a bad surprise, even though everybody we think is pretty solid with Missouri. You never know.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing here is we're expecting everybody to sign tomorrow, and that's a good thing because, if you get kids that are committed and they're like, I'm going to wait till February, that's always a bad sign, so.
Here's my favorite thing. I know Trajan Jeffcoat did this, and there's been a couple others that they signed in December, but they didn't tell anybody. And so there was just like this mass panic of, well, why didn't this kid sign? No, he signed. He just didn't have the little thing at his school till February.
Yeah, there's situations. That obviously isn't happening with any Missouri kids, but there are situations like that happening with some other kids around the country. And yeah, it's because like they want to have their ceremonies, they can't have them now because school's out. Right. So, they want to wait till February to have them, but they actually sign in December and they want to keep it on the low, because they don't, they want to have their limelight and their fanfare and everything like that. But
I wonder how that works though. Like, say you're a kid who signs with Missouri tomorrow, but you don't put it out publicly. What happens if other coaches call you? Like, I mean, because how would they know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
yeah.
That's a good question.
So yeah, we'll do all that. The only kid that there's really any question mark about at this point seems to be Shamar McNeil, right?
Yeah, just because he took that official to NC State, but like you said, like you put on the board. I mean, you said Missouri feels pretty confident he's going to sign with them, regardless of that official visit over the weekend. It's one of those where they offered him last week, so it's like, well, he's got a new offer. You can't blame the kid for wanting to go check out another place. It's a little, it's a little closer to home for him. So go check it out and see if it's something you want to do. But seems like Missouri's pretty confident he's going to sign with Missouri. So, I mean, he's been committed long enough. So,
yeah. And Magic Man's asking about Jabari Johnson. Short story, yes. We expect him to sign with Missouri tomorrow.
Yeah, I think
having a signing ceremony at his school, it would be a big surprise if it's anybody else.
Yeah, I think the big thing with him is he just wants, he likes the opportunity to play SEC football, and he's got it at Missouri. So,
yeah. So that's the commitment list. We've run down a lot of it. We expect them all to sign. Expect we may have transfer news here at some point in the next couple of days. CJ Johnson, keep an eye on him. And I think that's about it, man. I think we're good, right, Sean?
I think so. It seems like it. Tadarius Collins, maybe he'll commit to Missouri and sign. Who knows?
You're right. Hey, anything can happen, man. Who's the number one recruit in the country right now? Arch Manning?
I believe it is Arch. Yeah. Still.
All right, maybe Arch Manning to Missouri tomorrow. Who knows? We'll wait. So, by the way, not Arch Manning to Missouri. But yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. So, Sean, I've got good news for you, man. Like, we may do some stuff kind of here and there as news comes up, but like as far as actual scheduled stuff, like I'm going to give you your Tuesday afternoons back for a while.
All right. Sounds good, man. Because there's not like a lot to talk about until February signing day. It's more like just transfer watch, and we'll add some transfers. We might add a high school kid or two, but not a lot to talk about.
And as I texted you yesterday with some language cleaned up, nobody's allowed to commit Saturday or Sunday, man. If anybody commits Saturday or Sunday, come on, man.
That's another thing about these kids, man. Don't be doing that stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah, we like Christmas too, so just let us all have Christmas.
Look, man, we're trying to be less cranky during Christmas, so don't make us more cranky, kids. All right.
I don't know what this we stuff is. I am not trying. I'm just trying to get through this week, man. I'm just trying to get. But
right.
So. Yeah, guys, either pre or post Christmas, what we want you to do, and appreciate a lot of the same people here every week. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us live. And if you were live with us, we got up over 100 for a while. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Like, it's not going to be every Tuesday, but we're still going to be doing our regular shows on Wednesday, and we'll still do some spot stuff here and there with Sean or as news happens. So subscribe to the channel. You'll get notifications when we go live. If you listen on the podcast, leave us nice reviews, say good things. We're going to be continuing to work all day tomorrow. We talked to Eli Drinkwitz somewhere around 3:30 in the afternoon, I think. So Gerard and I will have kind of Missouri's reaction from signing day. Sean will be helping us throughout the day covering what goes on. And either before things shut down for the holidays or after you get back from the holidays, hey, we all need car insurance. Everybody watching here wants Mizzou to do well. James Carlton trying to help you out with both those things. James Carlton State Farm can give you competitive rates on your insurance. Just call him. Maybe he can't save you money, but you don't know if you don't check it out. So call, get a quote from James, 314-961-4800 or online at carltoninsurance.net. Get that quote. Let him know you heard about it from Power Mizzou. He's going to donate $20 to Mizzou's NIL Collective on your behalf, which is the maximum amount he's allowed to do in a referral thing like this. So James trying to help Mizzou out. You guys all want Mizzou to be good. Seems like a good thing to do, right? So take care of that. Like our channel. Say very nice things about Sean. And I think that covers it, yes?
Optional. It's very optional if they want to do that.
All right. just don't say terrible things about Sean. Say whatever you want to say about me. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow with some combination of Gerard Hamilton, Drew King, who's actually going to be on his way to bragging rights. So that may be a hit or miss, but whatever. We got signing day tomorrow. We got bragging rights Thursday. We got bowl game Friday. It is a busy week. We're going to be hanging around. Check it out on the site. We'll talk to you later.